Okay, a quick update on my C47 build that I started last night. What I'm doing right now is attaching these two poles to the electrical motor so that I have a little bit more room to play around with the wiring. All these are just the extended parts of LEDs that I've clipped off to reduce the profile of the LED in some of my kits, and so I always keep all of these because I end up being able to use them to complete circuits in various ways. This little trick that I do here just gives me more to play with on these electric motors instead of trying to mess around with wiring directly to the two terminals that are on there. It just makes it a lot easier. So what I can then do is, once I get these situated the way that I want them to be, I can get the wire attached to it, trim them down, and get them into place. But it just makes it so much easier to work with the wiring this way. So just wanted to point out that little trick. And now what I need to do is work out what direction I want this to be turning in. I can hear my neighbor next door, Steve. He's always working on his yard. That's his go-to for any kind of stress relief, but it's kind of funny because it also sometimes stresses him out. So what I'm looking for, there we go. So I'm going to just take off a propeller here. And just put that on the shaft. Okay, and it's just slightly too big for that. So let me just slightly cut out some material here. I really don't want to take out a bunch there because I do want to try to make use of this. So let me just try this way with it. So it's going to spin freely. So let me just thicken this just a little bit with some masking tape. Just need it to grip just enough. There we go. Okay. So if I start my power on that side, so if I make this the top, get my Sharpie, R for red, for my power. So that will be, if I have the power up, facing upward, then the propeller will have an outward spin. And if I just reverse those, put my power down, then I have an inward spin. So now what I need to do is just research that real quick and find out, was the C47 an outward or inward spinning propeller, because I did not realize that that was a modification made to the P38. Initially, the P38 was an inward spin on the propellers, but after a number of test flights and some more tinkering with it in its early production phases, they found greater stability with the P38 by giving it outward spinning rotors. So I need to just check with the C47, and that'll determine which side I put these on. So I will go look that up and figure out how that's supposed to be. Now, I showed this partly last night, what I was going to be doing here. Let me just fit this really quick, if it will, for the camera. Let me move out. Okay, so the motor will slide in, and you can see right now with those prongs on there, so it'll sit about like that. Okay, because you have the cowling out here that it's actually going to be nestled in right over that, so the motor will fit about right there. So those prongs are too long as they are, but they're long enough that I can do all my magnet wire that I need to do with it if I'm going to go with magnet wire, which I probably will do, and then I'll trim them down and it'll be perfectly fine. So on this side, set like this with the power down, it's going to be rotating inwardly. Okay, and I think that's probably how it is, but I'm going to go watch a couple of documentaries and see what the actual spin was. But just wanted to get that little update to you on how I'm going to be fitting in those motors so that I can have another airplane with spinning props. And I'm not going to slow these down like I did on my P38. I like that speed that these are already moving at, and that was 9 volts. So I wonder, I haven't worked with a potentiometer yet, and maybe that's something I should do with this one so that I can slowly rev it up. So I'll look into maybe doing that. I still haven't decided if I'm going to have the model self-contained and just run it off a 9-volt battery, or if I'm going to feed the wires through and secure the model on a diorama base. That's what I'm doing with my P38, but maybe with this C47 I'll make it self-contained and store the battery just inside the kit and the fuselage, and thus be able to change it out as I need to do that. But that will require me putting a switch somewhere, and I don't have any little tiny switches right now, so I'm gonna have to order some. I'm looking real quick, and it does not look like I have any more of my little tiny switches. Nope, so I'm gonna have to order more of those. A really low profile switch that I can hide somewhere, maybe on the underside, maybe even since it'll be a black switch most likely, maybe even hiding it in the black striping, because I'm going to do the Normandy version of it, so maybe I could even hide it that way. I'll work out a way to hide the switch if I'm going to go that route with it. So, just a quick little update there. Thanks.